A fascinating question that comes from this week's Torah portion, which God says, you should be holy because I am holy. So we would ask the question like, what's the connection? Like, you're holy, how can I be holy like you? Or like, why should I be holy? Like, what's the comparison? And it's a fascinating idea because really a lot of times when we have aspirations, we sort of have to be able to have a context by which we can understand the path that we can get there. Because otherwise, if we throw terms around, we have no idea what that means. And so something as elevated, as unknown, so to speak, as holiness, like how do you do it exactly, what is holiness and how does it work? God gives us the context and says, be like me. So of course you might say, well, how do we be like God? And the interesting thing is then the Torah goes through all of these different laws that are spiritual in nature. The idea is, of course, that when we seek more, when we seek up, we have to develop a context by which we can do that and then a clear action to get there, right? So if I wanted to be happy, I'd have to define what happy is. And then I'd have to put aside actual steps to get there. And so that's that process of developing and growing beyond where you are to really have these very lofty goals that is part of our life. Like we have to be able to look and figure out why are we doing it? How do we get there? And what does that look like at the end? And again, also you might say, but God is infinite, right? God is in a state that's outside of humanity. And the answer is like, yeah, and so is holiness. And so when we aspire for holiness, we shouldn't think we're ever going to get there, but rather admit that this is an ongoing growing process for which we can always be striving. Shabbat Shalom.